All right, we are live. Welcome into, I believe, episode 18 of the Walker Lads Divisional Round Playoffs. Yeah, 17th playoff. I'm Ryan.
I'm Peter.
And I'm Markello.
You boys ready for Brady versus Breeze?
Well, that's the Sunday matchup, no?
Yeah, Sunday night.
The last game of the week.
We've been waiting too many years for that game.
Yeah, I was about to say we waited so long for this game, so I hope it goes up to the expectations.
It's as long as better than the last time you guys played.
No, it's not going to be anything like the last time. It's not going to be a blowout. It's impossible for it to be a blowout.
I don't want
playoff football now.
I don't want any blowouts this weekend because last weekend the games were actually really good outside of the Saints and Bears game.
Well, again, I'm probably biased.
Boring.
I'm probably biased, but the Saints game, like, it was more of a pull away. Like, the Saints were really beating themselves in the first half, and going into the second half, it was still a one-score game. It could have been.
No, I know. It was just like.
Actually, no. Even the Pittsburgh game.
Down.
Even the Pittsburgh game was kind of like.
That was fun. Like, I love to see Pittsburgh get trashed. Like that, like like Juju said.
Ryan Super Bowl pick.
No, like he said, they're
still.
Down.
You know what I don't get though?
20-0 in the first quarter. Like the Browns.
I don't get though.
Browns. So
if you're Mike Tomlin and you're down, I think it was like he was down I think they were down 12 to start the fourth quarter, and it was like a 4th and 1, just behind the 50, and they ended up punting it.
That was a horrible decision. Yeah.
Yeah, and they had all the momentum at that point, bro. They were I think they had scored 2 or 3 times in a row, and they were putting up points, and then you just punted it away. I was like, wow.
Can I ask you guys something?
They punted the only opportunity they had at coming back.
Yeah, basically.
I brought this up a week or two ago. I know Big Ben's going to get the blame, and whether he comes back next year or not, it's up in the air still. Even if he does and they part ways and they move on, whether it's however they get their next quarterback in the draft, sign somebody, trade for somebody. At some point, I don't blame all of last week's loss on Ben Roethlisberger. He played horrible, but the players didn't come ready to play.
Defense is bad too.
Yeah, at some point, again, we talked about Mike Tomlin and when's he going to be on some kind of hot seat, not like a Matt Nagy kind of hot seat where this upcoming year is his last year. But when are we going to start questioning
surprised they even
Tomlin?
brought Nagy back.
I'm surprised.
When are we going to start questioning him?
The answer is never, only because realistically, Pittsburgh don't fire coaches.
I understand that, but
they just fired the OC.
I
know, but head coaches, they've had 3 their whole history.
They actually got rid of a bunch of staff members, like what you're saying, Markello. Like the tight end coach retired, I think. There was a bunch of people who were let go. They fired their offensive coordinator, rightfully so. But yeah,
all I know is
I know you're
Cleveland
saying
Browns came in, they were ready to play without a head coach, with half their roster having COVID, everybody counting them out, and they came ready to play confident like they were going to win. And then you have players like Juju, always talking, Claypool always talking. Now he's salty after. We're saying, oh, they only have
one more honestly, bro. That's really
where's the discipline?
Really,
the defense didn't even play disciplined.
That was very unclassy.
Yeah, I mean, he should have accepted the loss. Claypool live streaming and then talking about the Browns. Don't get me wrong.
Did they not learn their lesson from Antonio Brown with the Facebook live streams and all that?
I mean, I can't wait now for the upcoming years of Browns versus Steelers. So that's what makes it going to be fun again. But I don't know. Mike Tomlin's not going to get fired.
He's not going to get fired, but I don't know. Ownership, somebody needs to hold him accountable. He can't just get, a free pass just because he's Mike Tomlin and he's been there for however many years and he won Super Bowls.
That's what's going to end up happening. He's not getting fired in the near future.
Not in the near future because he's Mike Tomlin, but
I think we all knew Pittsburgh. I mean, granted, last week we picked the Steelers only because of the Browns situation. But if the Browns were healthy, I was picking the Browns last week. I was picking any other playoff team outside of Chicago because they can't play each other. All the playoff teams I would have picked to beat the Steelers. The Steelers have been awful for the last 5 weeks of football.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, like I said, guys, they were frauds, and you guys said, no, don't call them frauds yet. They're not frauds. It's just a few bad weeks.
Because they have the roster. Their roster's good.
Their season changed when Bud Dupree went down. That's what it is.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the end.
Down, the defense kept getting injured. Joe Hayden didn't play in the playoff game, so they kept.
Didn't Devin Bush have an injury?
Yeah, Bush was gone for the year, but even they survived him for a bit, the first half of the year. But then when you keep adding injuries, and it's not just excuses, Pittsburgh.
But realistically, it wasn't their defense that lost them.
No, but it was everything. The defense couldn't stop the Browns at all. and then
Dude, they put up like 28.
I'm saying the past
first quarter
when they were just losing football games.
the Bengals went up and down the field with like Ryan Finley.
No, I know, but at some point your offense needs to be able to get a first down. You can't just get these big Ben padding his stats and getting 500 yards of garbage time.
And Ben's throwing 2 interceptions to defensive linemen.
Well, that's the issue when you don't have a solid run game. You can't trust any of them.
That's the issue when your quarterback needs to retire.
Yeah, he's not turning down $41 million though. I think his cap hit next year. So
I don't know.
But all right, Pittsburgh's done. I mean, I'm glad we talked about them to kick off the show because that was a first snap of the game. Browns touchdown. I was like, let's go.
That reminded me of the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning against the Seahawks.
Yeah, Broncos and Seahawks.
That was PTSD.
Let's hop into the first game of the week. Rams at Packers.
Jared Goff got the start.
Yeah, Wolford's gone.
I think everyone's starting, and I think I'm going to call the upset. I don't know, man. I'm teetering. I could see an upset.
Okay.
I could definitely see an upset just because Aaron Rodgers does not play well against good defenses.
You know it's in Lambeau, right?
They don't matter.
The weather's. I looked at the weather. It's only.
Is it snowing?
No, it's 34 degrees tomorrow. It's not too bad at all.
That's fine.
You don't
have to when Cam Akers going to pound the rock against the cheese grater. That you're going to
run defense has been better the past month.
Yeah, they did a good job with Henry.
I don't know. It depends. It could really go either way. It's more on the Rams defense to step up and slow that offense.
You could.
I was really thinking
just because of how good they are, they could slow it. But
like the question,
can you stop the? I don't think you could stop it and shut them out.
If Ramsey goes 1-1 with Adams, how do you think the Packers are going to win this game?
That's what I'm saying, dude. Ramsey has been like elite this whole year.
Best corner in football this year. I don't think it's
he's the best corner in the league.
Weeks ago, Ryan, actually, when I was at your house when we were watching, what game? I think it was week 17, right? We were watching at your house.
16.
It was week 16. We were talking about. We were comparing Aaron Rodgers and his offense, like the weapons he has against other teams in the league and who has a better supporting cast around them. I don't think the Packers supporting cast is that bad that everybody makes it out to be. So even if you have Adams who's slowed down by Ramsey, I still think the other guys could step up, including Aaron Jones.
I think Aaron Jones will have a lot of problems.
You're going to need an MVS.
Dude, you can't tell me Aaron Donald is not going to have his way with that Green Bay line.
It's not even a matter of that though.
The Green
they had an injury on the offensive
line. Pretty good. Like Corey
Lynch. They lost Bakhtiari. It's the biggest, biggest piece.
No, I know.
When was the last time the Packers offense got shut down? It was against Tampa in the beginning of the year.
I'll tell you right now. Hold on.
It was against Tampa in the beginning of the year. That was the last time they were shut down.
Yeah, I think the score was like 38-10 in that game. But
yeah, that's not going to happen. So you could slow them down, but it's still up to Jared Goff to put up,
that's 20 plus points. I don't trust Goff at all. Him, and now he's hurt too. But
I think it would have been a lot better if he was 100% healthy.
I think there's going to be 2 upsets this weekend.
Two upsets? I don't know, man. Don't tell me that. That means you're probably picking the Buccaneers.
I'm actually not.
I'm picking. Well, I mean, we'll talk about it in the next matchup.
All right. So you're going Rams, Markel? You're confident in that upset?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Rams this week. I'm gonna lock that in.
I'm gonna pick the Packers. This is really tough. I really wanted to pick the Rams. I do think the Rams
out to dry here, dude.
I think the Rams have a legitimate shot of winning. I don't think the Packers match up that well against the Rams, to be honest. But I'm gonna believe in Aaron Rodgers. I have no faith in Jared Goff, and that's why I think it'll be a really low scoring game, like not a typical Packers game. I think it'll be like 23-20 or 20-17 Packers.
Yeah, I'm going with Ryan. I think it's whether you slow down Devonta Adams and the offense in general, you're still going to need to score at least 3 touchdowns against this team to beat them. And if your offense isn't equipped for that, meaning, health reasons, obviously with Jared Goff and throwing the ball, especially in the cold, I just don't think the Rams could put up 24, 27, 28 points. So I'm going Packers.
I don't know, man. I mean, look, I get why you guys are doing it, but what was it, 2 years ago that the Rams were in the Super Bowl? It's 2 years ago?
Yeah, but
All right, so
comparing this team
hear me out
2
here.
years ago.
This
It's a completely different team.
defense right now is
Dude,
better than the Super Bowl defense.
Yeah, and so is his offense as well.
Well, no, not right now because golf. Like,
I don't know, man. Who did they have back then? They
It
had
wasn't
Gurley, who wasn't really like
no,
firing at all cylinders.
much better. I can't lie, just because the Cam Akers might be as good right now, but just the offense as a whole isn't clicking right now with golf. Whether it's his thumb injury or whatever, the last few weeks of passing have been terrible for the Rams.
I would have loved for this to be the upset, but I'm not taking a quarterback not playing at 100% with the throwing hand injury.
They would need to have like a 49ers type of game against the Packers last year where Cam Akers takes over. And it's possible. Like, the Packers defense is better this year. Do I trust them 100%? No, I do not. Like, Whitworth came back last week and he made a huge difference for the Rams against Seattle. They ran over Seattle. And
I think the Packers are playing with like no left tackle. I don't even know who they're going to start a left tackle this week.
Got hurt.
They were supposed to start Jared Valdir, who started for the Colts.
Yeah, but he ended up on the COVID list.
He ended up getting COVID.
So
I don't know. I'm going to stick with the Packers, though. I'm just going to trust Rodgers. But this would not surprise me if the Rams win, to be honest. I think this is going to be a great game.
I'm actually surprised it's the first game.
I think this is the first, second best game of the weekend, to be honest.
Yeah.
Our next game,
it's 2 Packers, 1 Rams.
This is my next upset of the week, by the way.
Ravens at Bills, and this is actually the closest game of the weekend, I believe, in terms of spread. I think it's 2 or 2.5.
I think this is going to be my upset.
Picking the Ravens. I think the Ravens are favorited, just not in terms of spread, but in terms of like just seeing people picking them. And I don't know. The Colts could have upset Buffalo last week. The Ravens these are probably 2 of the hottest teams in the NFL facing off, which is interesting. Like, Buffalo's won, I believe, 11 in a row, if you count last week. And Baltimore obviously went into the playoffs red hot. And they came back from a 10-point, I think, first quarter deficit. And that's something that Lamar and the Ravens have never done. I don't think they would have done it last year. So I'm actually kind of impressed. He was only 10 points, but the Ravens completely shut down Derrick Henry. You don't have to worry about that with the Bills because they can't run the ball anyway. It'll just be Josh Allen running himself. But I'm going to go Buffalo here. I could see Baltimore winning. I don't trust Baltimore's. I don't trust Buffalo's defense that much. I think they're good, but I don't think they're great. I think Rivers showed you a path to win last week, but they're gonna have to stop Lamar. Like, they can't have Lamar going over 100 rushing yards. What do you guys think?
Well, Markel has a differing opinion, so I'll let him go first.
I kind of agree with what you're saying, though. I would probably say call these teams the 2 hottest teams of football. Maybe the Browns can, teeter their way into that, but definitely these 2 teams are like top 3 at best, Yeah. The only problem I'm having is the Bills defense stopping Lamar. I think Lamar is, on a next like different level this year in the playoffs. I think he knows what he has to focus in on. He knows what he has to do, and he's not trying to hear it anymore that he can't produce in the playoffs. He played out of his mind last week, to say the least.
Yeah, and I thought Tennessee actually did a pretty good job on him. Like, just considering Tennessee's expectations last week, just going into the game, I thought Tennessee's defense has been horrible this year. I thought they put up a good fight. Lamar was just too much last week.
And I was concerned about the passing game. The passing game looked pretty good last week. Marquise Brown had a huge game. I think
he's actually been really hot. Well, like, for the last 6 weeks, I believe. But if they do shadow White on him, which I'm not sure the Bills are going to do because I don't know if they fear him that much. I really have a hard time seeing. I'd have a hard time believing the Bills are going to let Lamar beat them. I think they're going to make him throw, and I think they played last year. It was a touchdown game. It was in Buffalo last year, but I think this is different Josh Allen, and I think if they blitz him, it's a mistake. Josh Allen, he's actually the number 1 or 2 quarterback this year under pressure. I would not blitz him. I don't think you, as good as Baltimore secondary is, I don't think you blitz with Stephon Diggs, John Brown, and Cole Beasley playing the way they are.
Do you think that front 7 can contain Lamar though? I don't think so.
In terms of containment, I think he'll get his yards. I'm just talking about don't let him go like over 100, 120 rushing yards. I think they can stop him to 60 or 70.
Fair enough.
So
But
I'm agreeing with you, Ryan. I'm going Bills on this pick. Mainly because if there's going to be an upset at any game this week, I think this is going to be the upset if there is going to be one this weekend. But I picked against the Bills last week. I picked the Colts just because I thought Phillip Rivers was going to finally get out of the wild card round, considering it might be his last year. I think he's going to play one more, but his last 2 years, let's call it. Lost by 3. They had the game, they just lost it. They had the chance to go, send it to overtime. They just couldn't get the job done. My preseason bet was for the Bills to make the AFC Championship game, so that's what I'm going to roll with. It could be an upset, like Ryan said. The Titans played well against Lamar, considering what their defense has been. But obviously, regardless of the bend no break kind of defense Buffalo has, especially it being in Buffalo, I have more faith in the Buffalo defense to be able to slow down Lamar. And Lamar only put up 20 points, let's not forget, last week. And if, we're calling the Baltimore offense hot right now, it's moving, and you're only putting up 20 points against how hot the Buffalo offense is, you're going to need to score more than 20 points. And this is against a better defense, and it's at their house. And I think they're hotter right now than the Baltimore Ravens are, and nobody wants to talk about it. Regardless of the injury to Devin Singletary, they didn't have a running game to begin with, so they'll figure it out. Yeah, my bad. They'll have they'll be able to move on without it. They didn't have a running game to begin with. So I'm going to go Bills.
It really is.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is,
if there's going to be an upset, it's going to be this game, though.
Baltimore have the secondary to actually contain. Like, I don't want to say contain, but not let Diggs go crazy. They have Marlon Humphrey.
Because think about it. Marlon Humphrey only got beat last week just because of how physical A.J. Brown is. And I don't think Stephon Diggs is that physical of a receiver. I think he's more finesse.
Yeah, but
and route running.
It's hard to stop that. I don't think any player has this year.
No, completely fair. He's led with the league in receptions and yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
listen, as much
he's still going to get his, but I think Marlon Humphrey will hold a better game than against what he did with A.J. Brown.
Yeah, and I think if Baltimore do blitz, even though I mentioned the receivers, I know everyone's mentioning the Lamar rushing yards, but Josh Allen can move too. If they send everyone up the middle and he runs out wide, Allen could take off like a 40, 50-yard touchdown. But this one will be fun. I think the Saturday games are going to be the better games, but.
All right, so that's 2 Buffalo, 1 Baltimore.
Yeah.
So Markel, both Saturday games, you have the underdogs winning both of them.
I think Ryan's actually right, and the Ravens are like slightly favored.
Yeah, it's in terms of like national media picking. That game's
like slightly favored.
51-49 Bills, only because they're at home.
Yeah, it's something like that. So
right.
I call this game pretty even for this week. I don't think there's a true underdog.
Okay.
Now, what's our next game?
We have Sunday at 3:00 in the afternoon. We have the Cleveland Browns going to Kansas City.
Oh, this is the biggest line of the week. 10 points for the Chiefs.
Look, don't get me wrong. I love Baker Mayfield. Love what the Browns are doing. I just don't see a way that you stop and beat Kansas City.
This is going to be a better game than people think, though. Like, the Browns are going to score points.
No, 100%. I'm not saying that. Kansas City's defense has been a little poor this year. They're going to definitely score points, but how are you going to stop Mahomes from scoring points on you? It's just not. It's not going to happen.
This one's
Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, like you name it, he's got it. So.
Well, this is what they were waiting for all year, right? They were kind of just cruising by the regular season, trying out new stuff. They weren't really.
Yeah.
Not that they weren't playing hard. Of course, they were playing hard, but from week 1 of the regular season, they knew what their goal was. They knew where they would be, and it's like the LeBron second year kind of thing. Like playoff LeBron starts going. It's kind of the same thing. I feel like with the Chiefs.
I'm pretty sure 2 of those guys were like top 5 in yards in the league this year too, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, weren't they?
They are. Yeah. No, they didn't play week 17, so I don't know if that held over, but they were.
Oh, but either way, they definitely were. You know what I mean? That's insane.
Yeah, they were up by a lot. So.
I actually won't be surprised if this game is kind of reminiscent of like the kind of playoff games we saw Kansas City in last year. I think it's going to be, some of the players like Mahomes has had 2 weeks off now because they had the week 17 rested week. and then last week the bye week. So this offense is going to have some rust, especially with how good the defensive line for Cleveland's been playing and holding up. So there's going to be some rust. I actually think it's going to be like last year in the playoffs when Kansas City might find themselves down down 10 at half. And then I do think they'll come back and win the game. I have Kansas City winning, but I won't be surprised going into half if maybe they still have a lead, but it's going to be a one-score game going either way, So I have the Browns at some point taking a lead in this game just because, they've been playing, they're on a roll, and it's going to take Kansas City some time, I think, to get into gear. But I have Kansas City pulling away within the second half.
Yeah, I'm also picking the Chiefs, but I'm not counting out the Browns. I don't think it's going to be a 10-point game. I think the Browns' best way to win this game is to play the Chiefs like the Raiders did twice. I think you have to dominate the clock, try to limit. They're not going to stop Mahomes, but try to limit him as much as you can on the field, and you're going to have to beat him in the shootout. This Browns offense is capable of holding the ball for 6 or 7 minutes each time they get it. I do think they're going to run over the Chiefs. I think they're going to have a good day rushing. This seems like a game where whoever has the ball last might win it. And I'm just, the thing is, if the Chiefs come out though and they start off like 24-0, like they were down last year against the Texans in their first game, I can't see them come back if that happens again.
I don't think it's going to be that bad. I don't think it's going to be like a Pittsburgh game last week.
Something like that happens again, the Browns will win this time because the Browns are not the Texans, just in terms of how they play.
Yeah, but I don't think the Browns I don't think it's going to be a repeat of last week.
No, I meant in terms of Chiefs and Texans from last year.
No, I know, but I'm saying like how the Browns went up big when they were underdogs. I don't think it's going to be like that.
I'm just saying if it does, I don't think the Chiefs will come back from that kind of deficit. But it's just hard to pick against the Chiefs. Although to be honest, I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. And we'll get to that
because Drew Brees is still in the playoffs.
No, not that. It's just let's see how they play Sunday first. But my thoughts on the Chiefs, like before the regular season ended, they just hadn't been too hot. So I'm going to see how they play first. But I wasn't that impressed with how the Chiefs finished the season.
All right, totally fair. I also think it's going to be a good game either way. Close. All right, so last game of the week. We have.
Did you pick the Chiefs or Browns?
Yeah, you picked Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Last game of the week. Obviously, everybody knows what I'm going Saints. That's not a surprise. And I hate because I know, it's the NFL and the favorites don't always win or the home teams don't always win. I have all 4 home teams winning this week. But I think it's just matchups. And I think besides the Ravens, Bills, because I have them both on even playing fields team-wise, I just think all the home teams are just better football teams this week. So we have Tom Brady and the Buccaneers coming back to New Orleans. Last time it was in New Orleans was week 1. And Tom didn't play so great, but it was also his first time in the system, first game, jitters, all of the such. He was playing with a whole new team. Last time we played them, which I think was week 9 in Tampa, it was the blowout game. It's not going to be anything reminiscent of that. Notable injuries so far is, I don't know, Ryan, do you know if Ronald Jones is playing?
They said he's going in questionable, but Fournette is starting. So my guess is no, maybe an emergency kind of role, but.
Yep. Good news for Saints fans. We're getting Trey Henderson back this week. He was a full participant in practice, so we'll finally have some pass rushing ability, and we're going to need it if we're going to beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. We're going to need to be back there and hitting him after every play, just constant pressure, remind him that we're there. Questionable to play is Taysom Hill and Latavius Murray. So that's a little bit concerning because of, Taysom Hill, like whether the offense is stalling out or in terms of red zone packages. Oh, by the way, we're recording. Happy birthday to Drew Brees, turned 42 years old today. He's good for red zone packages, and he could just open up. If Taysom Hill's playing, you're forced to game plan against him if you're the opposite team. So either way, I'm sure Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles are still prepping for him since it was a questionable tag. But it would hurt not to have him just because of what he could do for our offense. And then Latavius Murray has a switch of pace back. I hope the guys still play. There's still a way we could win without them, but it opens up our offense if those guys play. They're 2 of our playmakers. And the most recent news came out, I think like an hour ago. One of the backup offensive linemen for the Saints, Will Clapp, got put on the COVID list. He tested positive. So we're going to see in the next coming hours and tomorrow morning and just for the rest of the day tomorrow if any other positive tests come up. But I don't think there's anybody else who was close contact with him. So for now, it's looking good. The game's still scheduled, but, I don't want to be heartbroken and see, somebody important on the offensive line or something have a close contact positive kind of thing.
Oh, you guys are playing no matter what.
No, we're playing, but I'm saying I don't want key players, especially on our offensive line, to have to, miss this because this is going to be a close game. This is going to come down to this is going to be like every other Saints playoff game. It's going to come down to the fourth quarter, 2-minute warning, last drive, whoever has the ball in their hands. And I'm hoping it's Drew Brees because every single time that it's a 2-minute warning and our defense is on the field, we lose it. And although I think, we could slow down, Marshawn Lattimore is going to be on Mike Evans. I'm not worried about that. And I still don't think Mike Evans is playing at 100%. Antonio Brown's is going to be hard. He's in a rhythm right now in this offense with Tom Brady. We would think it was Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin still gets his own, of course, because he's an elite receiver. But Tom and Antonio have been, their chemistry right now is off the charts. Gronkowski is just a huge target, so it's going to be interesting to see, Demario Davis cover him and Malcolm Jenkins again. I'm confident in Dennis Allen and Sean Payton. We beat them twice this year already. Both of them kind of blowouts, but more so the second one was a blowout. I don't expect that this week, but we're going to need to play our best football if we're going to beat this. If we could beat Tom Brady in the divisional round, regardless of who we play next week, the Rams or the Packers, that's the best confidence booster we could get. And Tom Brady's not. I do like, though, there's a lot of people, analysts that are picking the Buccaneers. I know the Saints see that. I know the Buccaneers see that. Tom Brady's even tweeting out the old men pictures of him and Drew Brees on Twitter. So I like that we're not doing the talking, and Devin White's been chatting up a lot about the Saints, and I don't know. I'm excited for this game. I'm confident. I just don't want to be heartbroken again. I'm picking the Saints.
Markello?
I mean, look, I want to pick the Saints.
I want you to pick against them. Pick against them. I want you to.
Hear me out here, man. Relax.
Go for it. Yep.
You guys had a really, really easy, super easy feat last week in Chicago.
I wouldn't say it was super easy. We were beating ourselves.
That's why, yeah. You guys made a lot of mistakes, which was a little concerning to see. Granted, I hope you guys are iron those things out because you make those mistakes against Tom Brady and not going to be a 21-9 game. I can tell you that much.
Well, let me butt in real quick. The only mistakes that we're really having is we didn't have a pass rush last week, right? And we got gifted when Wims dropped that touchdown pass. I don't know if you guys were watching.
Dude, outside of like two guys, though, you guys can't create pressure. You guys can't create pressure.
Our offensive line, anytime our offense stalls out, we go 3 and out. It's not – everybody blames Drew Brees not being able to throw the ball. They show the replays every time. Our receivers don't have enough time to get open because there's, pass rush in his face every 2 seconds. Our interior offensive line cannot hold up. Although Ruiz had a good week and Pete was, 50-50, he was good in the running game. But, again, pass blocking, he just sucks, man. So that's where our issue lies. So if our offensive line can hold their own, I'm confident we're going to win. I'm sorry, continue.
I don't have more. I have more concern about your defensive line creating pressure. I don't really have that much concern about your offensive line. I liked what I saw outside of the rest of the defense. I like the coverage out of your secondary, but having those guys stay in coverage for that long, eventually one of them's going to slip up. Someone's going to get open, and Tom Brady will make you pay for it. I'm going to go Saints for now. I think you guys match up really well with what the Buccaneers are doing. Granted, your offense again. I liked what you said, how Latavius Murray and Taysom Hill open it up. I get a little concerned when I see Taysom Hill throwing the ball, but if it works for you guys, it works for you guys.
Even to use him as a receiver, not even as a quarterback, because I hate it when he plays at quarterback when Drew Brees is just on one side of the field. I hate those power runs. I hate. He fumbles every single game.
Last week he made a huge mistake where he got picked off when it should have been a touchdown to Deontay Harris.
Yeah. I don't want him throwing the ball, but as a receiver, like when we use him as a second tight end, I love those packages when it's him and Jared Cook on the field at the same time, or him and Troutman.
Even as a runner, he's not bad. He just has to fix the issue where
he saw a play at halfback.
but it seems like he's going to be limited tomorrow at the very best, or Sunday. Like he's going in hurt. So I'm also picking the Saints, mostly because I think the Saints are the better coached football team. I'm not really that high on Bruce Arians, and especially Todd Bowles. I think he's going to play cover 2 defense, which I think the Saints will just tear apart. Like it's just like
they're going to be forced to play man. They're not going to be able to play his own.
You said this, and listen, Todd Bowles doesn't adjust. I know him as a Jets coordinator. I've seen him, against even Washington. Taylor Heinicke came in, looked like a Pro Bowl quarterback. Just what it is. It's what happens.
I think they made a comment on that though, that they needed to implement man defense.
Yeah, they say.
I don't know if it was Arians or Bowles who said it.
I get what's said, but like until you do it, like he doesn't do it. So if he changes it this game, we'll see going into it. Just from what I know from Todd Bowles and what I've seen from his 2 games against the Saints, and just the Bucs being on national TV a lot with Brady, I just have no faith in their defense. I really don't. I think where they have their strength with Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul, I think that's where you match them with your tackles. I don't think they're going to get through. Vita Vea is not playing. Obviously, he's gone for the year. So interior, they have Steve McClendon, who's a great run defender, but he's not getting to the quarterback from there. So unless the Bucs find a creative way to force interior pressure, I think you have them there. But maybe they could blitz Devin White or do something creative. Who knows? They're going to need some kind of game plan to come into this game. So yeah, I feel pretty confident about the Saints. The only thing that kind of slows me is like, it seems like every year in the playoffs, you guys kind of start off really slow, even against the Bears. I mean, I didn't really feel like they were ever going to win just because of Trubisky, but it was like, the game was too close for me for the first like 2.5 quarters. And I'm not expecting Brady to play that bad again. So I actually think Alex Kappa, I think, is gone at right guard. So that's a big loss for Tampa. He broke his leg, I believe, in the Washington game. Because, Tom Brady was on fire last week. He's been on fire for weeks. Everyone said the Washington's going to cause him major problems, and he was going up and down the field like I don't know.
So Devin
I'm
White.
Saints. I'm just picking I think it's going to be a field goal type of game this time.
Yeah, I think so too. Devin White, he said he wanted to make a statement game. I'm reading it now. He said, it's week 19 now. I'm a pro. I study the game. It helps that this is our 3rd time playing New Orleans, so I know the plays. I know the formations. I'm studying it even more because he hasn't played in 2 weeks. It's basically do your job thing. I can't go out there and try to overly make plays because I haven't played in 2 weeks. I know every man has a certain gap. I know every man needs to be in a certain spot on the defense. I'm not going to overshadow my team for my own success just to make a play. I respect Todd Bowles' system. And I know he's going to put me in a position to make plays. When it's time to make a play, I'm going to make a play. And when I'm not making a play, I'm going to be doing my job.
This is going to be interesting.
Oh man, I'm going to be. My blood pressure is going to be through the roof of this.
Are you glad that it's the last game of the week, or are you just like, did you want it tomorrow? Or
I'm not going to lie to you. So at first I wanted. Obviously, I don't want to play on Saturday because we played on Sunday last week, so I wanted that extra day of rest. Mm-hmm. Because Tom Brady played Saturday night, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so I wanted that extra day of rest. I felt like we needed it. A part of me wishes that it was before the Green Bay and LA game because I want to know we won already and then watch that Green Bay game as who's going to be my matchup rather than I'm going to be watching the Green Bay game and Rams game without really rooting for anybody because I want to see what's happening with my team first. If that makes sense.
It makes sense, but
but there was no way they weren't putting that on prime time.
They just win. That's it, right? Then you focus on whoever comes next.
Yeah.
So 3 Saints, huh? Look at that.
Yeah, this one I'm not too. I see this one being also kind of flipped in the media. I have seen a lot of Bucks, but I've also seen like a lot of Saints being picked here too.
Well, I remember statistic I love.
Sorry, before you go, because the Bucks were heavily favorited in that second game that you blew them out.
Yep.
But this time it's a lot more even. And I know you're saying I seen Devin White too. I also seen Michael Thomas tweet something stupid. I don't know if it was deleted or not, or people caught it, but yeah, he's also like going at it with Bucks.
What did he tweet? That was bad. I don't know. I know he's been.
It was just
tweeting a lot about Ohio State.
It was basically a subtweet. That's what it was. So see, the Bucks ramped up. I don't know if it's still there. If he deleted it, he probably deleted it, just knowing him.
Don't get confused because he also tweets lyrics a lot.
Well, I seen Deshaun Watson tweeted lyrics too today. But Peter, speaking of the Saints, before we end the show, I might as well mention the hires. Dan Campbell to the Lions, most likely.
Yep. Look, it's really annoying that everybody, whether for whatever the position, whether it's Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell, that people are taking executives and coaching staff personnel.
Aaron Glenn was a Jet first and a really good player here. So
yeah, and he's also the reason why Lattimore and Jenkins are playing the way they are. So, anyways,
it was the Dan Campbell too.
You don't want to see your good coaching staff go, but I'm happy for Dan Campbell. You know what I mean? Obviously, you want anybody who's with you to have success. That's why I'm going to follow Joe Brady wherever he goes, or not that any of them are in the league anymore, but any coach that has been in and out or player in and out, you always root for them afterwards, kind of thing. So it sucks to see him go. We'll always find somebody to replace the position coach. But one stat I wanted to point out, because I don't know if they showed it on the post game last week after the Saints-Bears game. It was whenever teams in the same division play for a third time in the playoffs, people think that if somebody won 2 times in the regular season, if they swept, that the third time would go to the team that lost. But I forgot what the percentage was. It was like 90-something% of the time, the team that was 2-0 against the other team wins for a third time. Not that it means anything, of course, but
I didn't see it, so I couldn't tell you. I was reading something on Twitter though, where it was definitely not 90%. It was a lot lower than I thought it was. I think it was the same thing.
That statistic.
Yeah, I don't know what they showed on the broadcast, but it was like, I think for a third time, the only record's like 6-4 or something. But I don't know if they're just doing recent history or what. It wasn't 90%.
It was, then it probably had to be a different statistic.
But maybe
they said teams that are 2-0.
They might have based it because the Saints and the Bucks going for a third time as the highest point differential in NFL history, because the Saints blew them out basically 2 times. Well, the first time I guess it was kind of toward the end, but obviously the second time, whatever it was, 38-3, whatever it was.
Yeah, the first game, even though the score showed a blowout, it wasn't a blowout. The Saints just ran away with it.
Yeah,
garbage
so
time.
The second game, it's like the highest point differential going into Game 3 in NFL history. So I don't know if they adjusted it based on that or whatever, but.
Stat I saw, it made me feel better about sweeping them and then going for a third time and still beating them.
Well, I remember you guys doing it to Carolina, 5 years ago?
Yeah, that was the season when Saints were in the playoffs. So were the Falcons. And
that game was awesome. I remember it came down to like a Devin Funchess basically drop pass or like 34-31 type of game. Hopefully get something like that again. That'd be fun.
I don't want the stress. I'd be more than happy with
I just want, as like a casual fan, I'm not really rooting for anyone this weekend. I just want all close games, like 4 games this weekend. Just give me within a touchdown. That's fine of all games. Just keep it close. And if a team pulls away, at least make it the fourth quarter. Like, just give me that. Before we go, my New York Jets. Well, we have 4 out of the 7 coaching vacancies basically hired. The first one was Urban Meyer to Jacksonville. That was kind of rumored all along. I think we've been hearing about that.
We chalked it in once we heard that how serious it was, like on Urban Meyer's side, that he was even entertaining the idea of coming to the NFL.
Yeah,
we knew it was either Jacksonville or he's staying retired.
Yeah, and that was basically the only plan for him. I think he's only coming out for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, 100%, and the cap space.
I think if I was Jacksonville, I would have hired way more people. Not hired, I mean interviewed. I think they kind of rushed into the decision. I'm not sure about Urban Meyer because he definitely turned around Florida. They were like 22-2 under him. And then obviously Ohio State's Ohio State. He was good there. But he's taken off multiple times with like health issues.
Yeah.
And he's never done it in the NFL. And more than not, like these kind of, it's not just college coaches. Like I'm talking about big program college coaches. More than not, all of them have failed, including Nick Saban in the NFL. So we'll see. I mean, you get Trevor Lawrence, so he's already off to a big boost. But I think it's going to take time, obviously.
100%. This roster is not where it needs to be yet. But in his defense, if you're going to make that jump, from college retirement and then to the NFL, your best chance is going to be to go to the AFC South.
Yeah, he's going to score regardless of what wins and losses.
Houston's not going to do anything. They're on the decline. You have Tennessee, who obviously they're a playoff team. They were just there, and they're going to be good for as long as Mike Vrabel's the coach. But it doesn't mean that they're going to win the division every year. You're not going to have Derrick Henry forever. You're not going to have Ryan Tannehill forever. The offensive line, whatever the case is. And you have the Colts, who they have a good roster, good front office, coaching staff, but their issue has always been the quarterback, whether it was Andrew Luck in and out of the lineup with injury. Now it's Phillip Rivers in retirement. And, you had the Brissett era too. So if you're going to turn around a team when you have all those draft picks, all that cap space, and Trevor Lawrence, I couldn't think of a better team for him.
No, this is a perfect opportunity for anybody. And Urban Meyer, they said I think he had his introductory press conference today. Basically, they asked about him, being approached by other teams, I guess, in past years. And he was basically saying, I was looking for the right fit. And as soon as all the cap, all the draft picks, and Trevor Lawrence.
But I remember last year, the rumor was Dallas wanted him. Remember that? After they fired Jason Garrett, they wanted Urban Meyer. It was the Urban Meyer, Lincoln Riley kind of talk.
I didn't hear. I honestly forgot about that, but it's not surprising. Urban Meyer's been mentioned for years. Same thing with Lincoln Riley. They just never have made the jump. The Falcons in your division hired Arthur Smith from Tennessee. I actually think it's a good hire. It's not that I didn't want him for the Jets. I think the Jets are a much different situation than other places. But just specifically for Atlanta, I think it's a great hire. I actually think this is good news for Matt Ryan. I think this offense is kind of like the Kyle Shanahan offense that won him the MVP not too long ago. I mean, it's about 4 or 5 years ago now. But I have a weird feeling they're not going to take quarterback at 4 anymore. And we'll get there when the time comes. But I just thought that's my first impression was like, this is a good hire for Matt Ryan.
Well, look, Arthur Smith, he's the kind of guy, I don't think, like you said, for the Jets, it wasn't a good fit because he's not a program builder. He's more of a play caller. That's his job. That's his role. And when was the last time the Falcons had, an offensive mind of his caliber as a head coach? So, it's not the same as Tennessee's offense or a team in general, but they'll find the pieces. They'll get whatever running back of his choice. You're going to see more ground and pound out of the Atlanta Falcons, especially with Matt Ryan getting up there in age. It's not going to be on him to be throwing 50 passes a game. I think he's going to be a fan of that just to prolong however many years he has left. So I'm sure he's happy. Calvin Ridley should be happy. The whole offense as a whole, the whole team, when you move on from Dan Quinn, no matter who it is, it's an upgrade. So
yeah, I'm with you. I think I was telling Markel this before you joined. I know you were laughing when we were talking about the draft, but Atlanta basically that second round pick, they're picking 5th or 6th in the second round. They're taking a running back in that pick. I'm just letting you guys know whether it's Najee Harris, 8 to 9, like that's the pick for them. They're going to get one of the better running backs, and then, like you said, they'll take the pressure off Matt Ryan. They'll run it a lot more, like successfully, and they'll play action for Matt. So I actually like the hire for Atlanta. And then we have my New York Jets hiring Robert Saleh. It was pretty funny, the reactions, because we basically let him leave the building the day before when he came back for the second interview. And Jets Twitter was having another meltdown moment because people were thinking it was the Matt Rule situation all over again. But I like the hire. I didn't think it was possible or likely, like just going into the coaching, all the candidates. Everyone kind of penciled him into Detroit because he's from Michigan, I believe. And for whatever reason, I don't know if he didn't interview well or he just didn't want the Detroit job. He landed here, and I think he's a perfect candidate for here. The Jets need stability. He's the complete opposite of what Gase is. Like he's a leader. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I'm pumped up. He's bringing Michael Floyd with him, so we're getting the Kyle Shanahan scheme in here, which is awesome because I've seen very little defenses stop a Kyle Shanahan scheme other than like the team being injured. You know what I'm saying? And even then, Kyle Shanahan still gets wins. So I'm pumped up. We'll see what they do with Darnold. There's been some weird talks about them keeping him. I'm hoping it's just all smoke.
People are saying that just because of how happy it is having, one Saleh as a head coach. I'm happy for him, first Muslim head coach in NFL history. And then, he's bringing Mike LaFleur and Shanahan system, like you said, the West Coast offense. So it's like, okay, Darnold went to USC. He knows the West Coast offense. It's not that Darnold's a scrub. He's not a scrub, so it could revitalize him. They have him. But you already went this far. You have Joe Douglas. Consider him a new GM. This is his first full off season, right?
Second.
And then second. Well, yeah, there's going to be a second. So you have Joe Douglas. This is a whole new coaching staff. You bring a new head coach, offensive coordinator. You're going to bring in a new DC too. Start fresh. Take a quarterback. And now that Justin Fields was making some head turns in the playoffs when he beat Clemson, but now that you have the Shanahan offense here, this pick has to be Zach Wilson at 2, right? I don't see how you could go any other way.
Yeah, the only scenario, I guess, I was going to talk about this just before we end. If they don't believe in any of these quarterbacks, I guess they could keep Darnold for another year. I think it'd be a mistake. You guys know I've been wanting to get rid of him. I know you said he wasn't a scrub, but based on how he's played this year, he was a scrub at least this year. I mean, it's fair to say.
No, but in terms of tools that he has to be successful, he has the tools.
I know. It's just like you've been in the NFL 3 seasons. Like what?
I'm not defending him.
I know. Well,
I think he needs to go quarterback
after 3 years of just like, and was part of it Gase? Probably most of it, but at this point, it's over. I'm not paying him. I'm not giving him the 5th-year option. That's fully guaranteed at this point. If you do in May,
it's not even that. You're prolonging the inevitable. He's not going to be the quarterback to take the Jets to the Super Bowl
because he will be better in this kind of offense. Like there's no doubt about it. Like than a Gase offense. It's just a question of, do you want to be the Indianapolis Colts this year? Do you want to build up a team like that? And then, I mean, granted, they could have won with Philip Rivers. I'll give you more examples. Just like the Minnesota Vikings with Kirk Cousins. I just feel like you're wasting the talent you had. And the Vikings eventually fell apart after like 3 seasons of that. Like the NFL, you have to win on a rookie contract, basically, or everything else has to click. Because you see all these teams, like Aaron Rodgers has 1 ring in his career. Drew Brees has 1. Like, there's not a lot of time. Like, Tom Brady and all those rings. Patriots never had a bunch of like players signed up long term. It just seems like when you do that, like the Colts. I mean, the Niners, unfortunately, last year, right? They had a great run all the way to the Super Bowl, and this year, yes, they were like crazy injuries. But Garoppolo held them back from winning the Super Bowl. First of all, second of all, they paid him, and he always gets hurt. And they had to get rid of DeForest Buckner. They had everyone, like they made the mistake. They signed Armstead and traded Buckner, which I don't care. They got a 1st-round pick back. It was the wrong player they traded away. It's like you're forcing decisions like that, and it's like I don't even know if the Niners, like everyone's expecting them to get back to like being good, and I think they will be good. But no one's talking about how like their whole secondaries are free agents. They have $22 million in cap space, so they basically have to make a decision. I think they're going to lock down Trent Williams. So if they tag him or sign him, there's no cap left. So like their whole secondary is walking out the door. They have no quarterback again. Like Garoppolo.
I know you've been seeing all the rumors of like Sherman and the rest of the guys possibly coming to New York now because the Jets need the cornerback help and Saleh.
Yeah, well, that's why I mentioned the Niners. I looked them up after we got Saleh, and they're kind of like cap strapped and they're kind of screwed over. So like, and the whole point of that is like you can't. It's basically don't pay the quarterback if he's not elite, and we know Darnold's not elite. So I don't know. I'm moving on.
So is that it for off-season talk?
Yeah, that's it for now. Just have to get a little ran off.
Until we get like a mock draft going.
Oh, we will.
Soon.
Let's finish the season first, yeah. But thank you guys for joining us. Have fun watching the playoffs. We'll see you next week.
Go Saints.